Welcome to the Dr. Nikki Starr Show, a podcast to support you in your spiritual awakening and personal development. As a spiritual teacher, healer, and intuitive coach, my intention is to empower you to live your ultimate potential and your ultimate life. As a former medical doctor and mystic, my role is to bridge the gap between science and spirituality to support you in understanding more of your multidimensional aspects. I share on a diverse range of topics, and it's all to support your greatest becoming. My mission is to continue reaching millions of people for the healing and awakening of humankind for the creation of the new earth. Thank you for being here. Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome to season 7 of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show. And I am so excited and happy and enjoy bringing you this season 7, which is all about healing the man-woman relationship for greater union. And I have beautiful, incredible male guests. And I had a season of female guests, and now I have a season of male guests. And we're going to be talking about love and relationships, specifically on the path to divine union, which is a deeper type of relationship. In my opinion, it is the highest form of relationship that we can have in this lifetime. And it looks at masculine, feminine dynamics and polarity. It's also devoted and committed to our healing as individuals and our greatest becoming as individuals, and also the greatest becoming as a couple. And how in coming into union, we live a more fulfilled life. Our mission gets fulfilled in a bigger way. And our love as a couple is so much greater than just the two of us. Divine union love is the kind of love that heals all, that's beneficial for the community, that creates projects and creations that helps the world. So it's the type of relationship that helps us create the new earth. And I am so devoted. This is the type of relationship and the only type of relationship that I wish to be in. And of course, it's been a journey, and it's a journey for everyone. And every single relationship that we have is always in preparation for that ultimate relationship, that divine union relationship. And so every guest that I'm going to have on is going to be sharing from a different perspective. It could be from the perspective of being on the journey. It could be from the perspective of when we are in relationship. And it can also be from the perspective through the different transitions that we go through. And I felt it was really, really important to bring in the male energy and to have the perspective be from the masculine, because of course I can share about masculine and feminine, and I often give my opinions and views and perspectives and intuitive guidance from the space of the feminine and on behalf of the masculine. And it's even more powerful if you actually hear it from the masculine. Like, it's not just me saying it, right? It's like men who are doing this work, who are in this work, who are devoted to divine union and devoted to relationship. And really, it's a devotion to love. Those of us in divine union are here in devotion to love. And it's a more conscious way of relating, because we're also using our sexual energies as part of our evolution and ascension. And it's not just for pleasure, it's for spiritual enlightenment, it's for healing. And what ends up happening is we can experience our deepest core wounds inside the container of a divine union relationship, because it creates that safe space. And also because the love and the pleasure is so high, it's like the glue. Because oftentimes if we get triggered, we want to run, we want to back away. However, if there's a deep connection and love between you and the person you're in divine union with or in partnership with,
even if it's not your divine union partner, but it's the relationship you're in at the moment that's supporting you in your becoming for that divine union relationship, it is that attraction, that chemistry, that love that keeps you there to do the work. So relationships and romantic relationships especially are like the battleground of our ego. It's the place that we really learn to have the ego deaths and the humility to be able to say, you know what? That was my stuff. And I love this work so much. I love relationships. I love being in relationships. And this is really what the work that I came here to do. Yes, I'm a multidimensional activator and I work with the whole person. I'm really about us living our ultimate lives, our ultimate potential. And a big part of that is love, right? So you'll often hear me say, ultimate you in love, life, and business, because these are like the three main categories in our life. There's, and yourself, of course, right? So you becoming your ultimate self, your love relationship, like we're here on this planet to love, right? We're here to create, and love is the force of creation. So being in a high level romantic relationship is going to support your business, your love, all of your creations in general. So it's so important that our love is on point, because I can tell you that most people suffer, like their lives are great when they're in love. And the moment there's relationship challenges, it's the number one thing that can sabotage and challenge us and destabilize us as humans, because we are loving beings. We came to this planet to love. We're here to love. We're here for love. And I love speaking on this topic. As you know, some of you know, if you've listened to earlier podcast episodes, I was on a Fox reality show once where they named me, and my hashtag was Dr. Love, because I really believe love is what this life is all about. And the show was called Utopia, and they said, finish the sentence. My utopia is, and I said, all about love. So love is so important in our lives. And when our love is on point, it's going to fuel everything. It's like a natural caffeine. It's a natural inspiration. It's a natural expander. And when we're in the right love relationship, it only expands our work. And of course, for me, love is such a catalyst for my creations, for poetry, for what I write. And then, of course, even I've written 2 books about love. They aren't published yet, but they're coming. And even most recently, I wrote a post about 14, there's actually 15 if you read the comments, but 15 unconscious behaviors that men can do to sabotage divine union with a high value spiritual woman. And this was sent to a lot of people, even in my statistics and my analytics. It was one of the highest performing posts thus far over the past 30 days. And I saw, okay, people really want to know and talk about this stuff, because also keep in mind, we've been in a time of a distortion field where there's been patriarchy, there's been pornography, there's been a lot of reversed gender roles, there's been feminism. So there's been a lot of things against men, against women, against divine union, even with the divorce rates being so high. And so a lot of men and women are like, what's the right role? Like, what am I supposed to do in relationship? And the truth is that, in a sense, right, we can say there's no answer. And if we want highest polarity, highest chemistry, we want to be sensitive to certain biological factors and also the rules of polarity, because polarity is a science. And when I say polarity, that's the attraction between a man and woman. And for a relationship to last a long time and to really be fulfilling and fruitful, we want the polarity to be high. We want to feel attracted to our partner years after being together, even after having children, even after having stressful things happen in our lives, which they're going to happen, whether they're stressors of work or busy schedules or finances or health or anything that can come up, which is normal in life, right? We're always going through transition. We're always going through change. The only constant in life is change. So when you can find a match, someone who is willing to do the work, grow and evolve, someone who also wants to make the relationship work. So that willingness needs to be there. And then also the actual practice of it. So you could say all you want with your words that you want to do something, but then there's the actual participation of that. And if both people are not only committed, but devoted, right? So commitment is an impulse and a motivation that comes from within you. Whereas devotion is something that pulls you, that is greater than you. So that could be love, that can be your values. So if you have a value of love and divine union and relationships in your life and family, that's going to be a high priority to really put effort and energy into the relationship. So it's really such a beautiful thing. And I love talking about this stuff. And I feel so excited to bring all of these male guests onto this show to share with you on divine union and on healing the man-woman relationship and for greater union. And the other piece I want to share is that if you know about astrology and birth charts, my midheaven is Venus, and it's in the house of teaching. So, like, I am here to be a teacher in relation to love. My mission is really about love and everything else that Venus represents, which is luxury and money and kind of the material plane and all of that, and all the pleasure and all the, like, kind of like the sweetness of life, you can say, right? So I'm really excited to bring you this chapter of the podcast because it's so in alignment with who I am at the core and the blueprints of my being. And I love working with my clients. And even when one-to-one clients come to work with me, I've worked with couples who come on as a couple. And oftentimes, pretty much every time a powerful woman comes to work with me and she is in a relationship, always her partner will do work with me as well, especially if she's doing longer term work, because her transformation and expansion will be inevitable. And so that they can be on the same page and frequency, we do couples work. And that's important because as each person is evolving, you want to stay and be on the same page. And this is how we continue to grow together. So through this podcast, this season is not just for women and it's not just for men, it's for both. And it's to understand the perspective of both. So then I'll be speaking on the perspective of the divine feminine, and my guests will be speaking on the perspective of the divine masculine. And there's no shaming or blaming or any of that. I want you to also receive the information, take what resonates, leave the rest. If you're in relationship, I invite you to bring your partners along for the ride. You guys can listen to these episodes together. If you're single or dating, I invite you to listen. And then where you feel inspired, you can send some of the podcast episodes to the people that you love so that there can be an awareness. And oftentimes it's an education. Sometimes people don't even realize, oh my goodness, if I just shifted this one thing, or if I can see that that behavior is coming from fear of wanting to protect myself, fear of not wanting to be abandoned, fear of not wanting to be betrayed, and all these other existential core wounds that humans have, such as fear of not wanting to be alone, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of not being loved, and everything else and anything else that happened in your childhood. If we can have that awareness, like, okay, I'm making a decision from fear, not what's in highest service to love. And when you have that realization, it's like you can snap out of the trigger and then make the highest choice that would bring you onto a path to greater love, to greater union. Because the truth is, we all want to be loved. We all want to have that special person that we can share our lives with, that we can grow with, that we can open to and be intimate and show and reveal our true selves. Of course, we all want that. That is one of the points of life. And then from there, as I mentioned, that love energy is the fuel for creation, and not just procreation of children, but creation for your mission, your purpose, what you're here to do in the world, what you're here to share with the world. And so I really invite you to reflect as you prepare to receive these podcast episodes. Really reflect on, where are you in your journey to your greatest love? Are you living it? Are you living your highest potential in relation to love? If you're in a relationship, is the relationship fulfilling you? Do you feel that you're both devoted to love as the priority and you show up in your highest love? And ask yourself, what would love do? In this very moment, what would love do? And then do you do that? And see, are you being met in the way that you would like to? And know that just by us shifting, our partner doesn't even have to change, but just by us evolving, our partner changes. And the same even for someone who's single. I know that when men or women do the work, the type of people they start to meet shifts. So you as the feminine, when you heal the masculine, you receive men in a completely different way. And everything that you've been desiring for men to show up for you as, they do. It starts to happen. And I also would ask you that if you are single, where do you continue creating a self-fulfilling prophecy and attracting in the same kind of person? Where perhaps there's something within yourself that's asking to be healed. And so you keep attracting in the same type of dynamic that could be painful or challenging, or even if it's just not what you want. Have you really looked within? And sometimes people think they're doing the work, but if the way you really know if you are doing the work is the type and quality of men or women that are showing up in your life and that you're meeting, and the dynamics and the relationship that you have. So if they're respectful and kind and loving and fulfilling, and they end in a beautiful, harmonious, conscious way, all good. You just have yet to find your match. However, if you're experiencing the same kinds of pains and hurts, that's a message. Okay, what within myself needs to shift? And sometimes it's just about honoring yourself, not abandoning yourself, your needs, your standards. And these episodes are going to be really beautiful and powerful for you to self-reflect. And some of the guests will also be sharing bonus content where they'll guide you through a process to support you in creating greater union. Or there'll be some extra content in the bonus episodes that will support you for greater union as well. And so this is a really exciting time we're in on the planet. And I also invite you to see how much are you in devotion to love. And now what's in devotion to love is what's for the highest good of all. So when you're in union, it's not about abandoning yourself or putting other people's needs before yourself. It's the balance of both. Are you honoring your needs while still honoring the needs of others? Does this relationship serve your highest good? And does it serve the highest good of you both? And does it serve the highest good of the whole planet? And so I reflect this back because sometimes people can stay in relationships or choose relationships that are not the highest match. And this is done because, of course, you love the person, or maybe there's a fear of being alone, or maybe it's just the time that you want to be in relationship and this is the person that appeared in front of you. So you kind of just make it work because you don't want to be alone, or because you just want the relationship now. And I've seen that in some women where they're really calling in belovedship. And I'm sure men have done this too. And they just go for the first thing that appears. And that's not always the best thing to do, because your no is just as powerful as your yes. By you saying no to certain relationships or people or dynamics, you then have space to say yes to something else. And the universe knows, okay, not like that. So our power sourced from that, the highest truth of ourselves, is required on the path of love. And the path of love is a path of enlightenment. So we can reach our highest potential through the mirror of the other in monogamous, romantic relationship that is committed and devoted to our personal development and greatest becoming and our highest evolution, which is what I coined the term divine union. And so I really invite all of you to be in divine union. And if you are in relationship, know that you can transform your current relationship into divine union relationship. And know that I am always a fan to work on the relationship that you currently have, because in this sea of billions of people on the planet, the two of you were brought together. So I'm always a big fan of working on the relationship before deciding to call it a quits and really giving it your all. And so for couples, this is an invitation to really self-reflect, look within, see where you can show up even better for the highest good of the relationship. And if you ever do choose to end relationships, even if it's a short-term one, it's so important and beautiful to end it when you're not in a trigger. Because when you end things in a trigger, it's coming from the wounded, traumatized place. But when you end a relationship from a loving place, from that knowing place, from that highest truth and love, that's when you know it's really true. And that's when the healing and the separation can happen in the most conscious way. So I'm sure we'll have an episode about conscious uncoupling. And I had another season of the podcast earlier on. I think it was about 2 years ago. So it was the end of 2023 into 2024. I had a season of love and relationships. And so there I talked about a lot of different topics. So if you're new to season 7 and you're just joining the podcast, know that there's an earlier season that's committed and devoted to relationships. So I invite you to go there and listen there and see what really resonates, as if you want to continue in between the episodes as they're appearing every week. And know that your relationship work is going to serve everything. So taking this time that you carve out to tune into the episodes is really going to be supportive for your work life, your career, your business, how you feel, also your health. I can't tell you how many times people suffer in their health because their romantic relationships and their love relationships are not going well. Because we as humans are loving beings. And when there's love in our lives, we thrive. And when there's not love in our lives, we don't always thrive. And this is an opportunity for your highest health as well. And so I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so happy that I'm going to be sharing these podcasts. And I also have 2 books that I've been writing this past year on love and relationships and divine union specifically. And so those are going to be coming out. And one is for women and one is for men and women. And so in time, those are going to come out, but I just can't help but already start to share with you the magic and the beauty and your role and your self-awareness and your consciousness and your love and devotion and commitment and your willingness to participate and show up and do this great work. So I applaud you. I applaud you for taking radical responsibility for your part that you play in relationships. And I wish you ultimate love. I wish you divine union relationship. I wish you so much happiness, fulfillment, transformation, ascension, transcendence, and so much beauty and joy and juicy pleasure in your love, in your divine union relationship. And I wish that for all. And I send this out as a prayer as well for the healing of the whole planet and the co-creation of the new earth together as we all rise in love together. And so with that, big kiss to you. And I'll see you in the next episode with one of our guests. Thank you for being here. Share this podcast with anyone you feel could benefit. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show. Please like this podcast and share it with anyone you feel would benefit. Subscribe to the podcast to receive bonus content, and remember, every Monday the video version goes live on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being on the ascension path with me and for doing this great work.